So we are going to discuss about overview of IICS, what is Informatica Cloud, what are the components of Informatica Cloud here. So I guess I'm audible to all of you. Can you please confirm?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yep.
okay, yeah.
Yes, you are audible.
So okay, we'll discuss about IICS overview and the components, and we'll discuss about IPaaS solution. What would be the different cloud terminologies, and I'll explain about the architecture, the Informatica Cloud architecture, and we're going to discuss about runtime environment and secure agent and how to get started with IICS. So as a name, IICS stands for Informatica Intelligent Cloud Services. Okay. So moving on to the next slide, uh, what is the actual, the meaning of Informatica Cloud? It's an on-demand subscription service that would provide a complete platform for your cloud integration and data management. And you can actually create, configure connections. You can create users and run your jobs, schedule them, and monitor your tasks. And the components of Informatica Cloud are runtime environment agents, runtime environments, Informatica Cloud Secure Agent, and we also have organization and connections. So we're going to discuss about all this in detail. So let me move on. The most important thing what we need to understand is what is IPaaS. So IPaaS, as the name says, IPaaS stands for Integration Platform as a Service. So it would be a bundle of services that would help you to do development, execution, and governance of your integration flows. It would be a combination of anything between your on-premise and cloud-based processes, different services, applications, and data across or within the organizations. So iPaaS is very, this is a cloud-friendly environment, which would ensure that you have a browser, you have a UI, and you have an integration architecture that's underlying architecture, which would help you to integrate your cloud data and your on-premise data. Okay, so you can access it from any machine with an internet access. You don't have to worry about launching something locally. You just need to have a browser, your laptop. You connect to a browser, and you launch your application. Your browser connects to cloud services through a secure protocol, HTTP protocol. So we also have the platform with multiple toggle switch visits, which we would be seeing it in the demo when we do a sample job, when we run the job. That would help you to build your integration tasks, and also a centralized monitoring capabilities to track your progress and result of your jobs. And the best thing about cloud is we also get some pre-configured templates for your recurring business use cases. You have readily available integration templates which are given by Informatica. So any questions on iPaaS from anyone? Okay, so I'll move on. So we have different, this is an overview about the cloud terminologies. I'm just putting it up here. No need to go through everything, but I'm just giving you an overview about what would be the different cloud terminologies, like add-on connector, administrator, agent, assets. We have a lot of things like file listener, Informatica hosted agent, secure agent. We have a runtime environment. We have a synchronization task. So to just give you a simple comparison, from someone from the Power Center background, right? If we have students from Power Center background, they would like to do a comparison. So let me just bring it up. Like for example, we have Power Center. When you compare with Informatica Intelligent Cloud Services, right? So IICS stands for Informatica Intelligent cloud services. So what do we have in Power Center? We have a mapping, and in cloud we also have a mapping. In Power Center you have a session which would actually ensure that your mapping is run, your source data is being loaded to your target data. So in IICS we have a mapping configuration task. It's called MCT. And in Power Center we have a workflow, and in IICS we have a task flow. And similarly, in Power Center we have a terminology called a domain, which is main administrative unit, right? So this administrative unit would control your services. It can be your repository services or your integration services, right? Your nodes, licenses, everything, right? Licenses, etc. Right? So this is a main administrative unit. In ILCs, we have something called organization, or in short, it is called org. It's also called org, right? And this is the one which would have your org level details about your organization. Org level details, it will have the license details, okay? And you have this entire thing configured in your administration service. We'll see that when we go to the ISCS
Yeah.
console.
Hi, Arun. Some lag is going on. Screen is not visible properly. Could you
Yeah,
please check on it?
correct. The same screen it is showing.
Is it the same for everyone?
Yes, correct, Arun.
No,
No,
it's
I
fine
don't
for
think
me,
so.
Adhik.
I don't think so. Please check your connection. Please check your connection. My connection is good. My connection is stable. If it is for majority of you, then there is a problem with my connection. I don't think so. Please check. Please check your connection. Okay.
Yeah, now it is good, Arun. Now
Okay. Okay. Good. All right. So I was just telling about this, the comparison, right? I was just telling about a comparison where you have a domain in Power Center and we have an org here, right? Your organization with the org level details, your license, your administration with your connectors, and you have a lot of details that are available as part of your organization in ICs. So moving on, I'll explain about architecture. Okay, this is very important for all of us to
Yeah,
understand,
Arun,
right? All of you to
Arun.
understand.
So I am actually new for this IICS. Can you just tell me what is the prerequisition required for this?
Yeah, sure. So I have a simple, a notepad for the prerequisites. I'll come back to this. Okay, I'll come back to the prerequisites in a moment. Okay.
Okay,
So
okay,
I'll tell you. Let me explain about architecture, and we'll discuss about the prerequisites when we actually go to our before the demo session, right? Before the actual demo, I'll talk about the prerequisites. So let's complete the architecture. This is very important. So the architecture, if you look at a user who actually, with an identity or access with the credentials, he logs in to a machine, a web client, and performs design and administration. And if you look at this picture, right, this is how a user logs into a machine, and he provides his credentials, and you're able to log in. And once you log into to a client, uh, the metadata, I mean, like you have a metadata that gets exchanged to Informatica hosted multi-tenant repositories. So if you look at this picture, right, if you look at this picture, right, this is how the customer managed, customer managed secure agent. If you look at the customer managed secure agent, why do we need a customer managed secure agent? Because this can be on your Windows machine or a Linux machine. This is managed by the customer. The customer is going to manage the entire data, and the data is lying behind the firewall of an organization. So this is called a customer managed security. And Through your customer managed secure agent, you actually exchange your metadata to Informatica intelligent cloud services, multi-tenant repositories. So Informatica Cloud is hosted on microservices based architecture where different services are being configured, where it stores some metadata. It actually stores some metadata. It's not actual data, but it stores some metadata which gets exchanged from a user console, right? So, for example, you have a flat file or you have a database component, right? Your actual data is not being exposed to Informatica Cloud repository. It's some metadata. So Informatica is managing it. Okay, just give me 1 minute. Sorry. Yeah. So Informatica Cloud, Informatica Managed Cloud Runtime Environment is where you have a secure agent and you have a process server. So we have a Informatica hosted agent, and we also have a customer managed secure agent. And if you look at the right side, right, if you look at this, uh, if you look at this one, now you have a business data where you also connect to cloud apps like Marketo or Salesforce or Workday, anything which is your business data. You can even connect to a business data from a secure agent. So how do you do that? Using a connector. We'll cover that in detail. And again, the proxy is, you have a sample provider. If you want to integrate single sign-on, you can also integrate SAML, which is your SSO single sign-on feature that can be enabled on your cloud application. Okay. So any questions on this architecture? Anyone has any questions on this architecture? So this architecture is where the metadata gets exchanged. I was talking about customer managed secure agent. So we are going to discuss about in detail about why, if I have to break it up, the architecture. The next picture is going to talk about repository, where you have a Informatica Cloud Services hosted repository. So everything is happening over internet, right? It's happening over internet, and you perform your design, your administration, configuration, maintenance through HTTPS protocol. So your machine with a web browser, you log into a web browser. All you need to have is an internet access, right? And you can perform various functionalities. So this is how it is, where it is building an enterprise orchestration. What do you call orchestration? It is like you have a sequence of events that you would call for an orchestration, and there are pre-configured templates for your recurring business cases also. So we'll discuss about all that. And again, just to explain more about it, this picture is going to talk about how your secure agent is behaving. When your company your company is holding your secure agent or managing your secure agent within their firewall, which is as per the organization rules that they specify, right? They manage their secure agent because of security reasons. They ensure the data is being secured. So we also have for example, like a Salesforce connectivity, right? You connect to a cloud app using your business data HTTPS through a SOAP or a UI, I mean SOAP or REST API. We'll discuss about that. And the metadata changes or the schema changes or schedule information gets exchanged. You also have your local files and or your databases, which means your more of your on-premise data. You're able to integrate the data using a repository, an IICS repository. So you have a machine with a web browser and internet access, and you have a local file. So we connect that way. Okay. So I'll just bring up the prerequisites quick. What would need for you to uh, to learn this course and to be successful, right? Let me just bring it up, the prerequisites. One moment. So the prerequisites, I just made a quick note of the prerequisites. The prerequisites for learning IICS, you need to. I mean, this is for this training. If you're interested in installing some other database, you can do that. But this training, I'll be doing the scenarios on the Oracle database. So you need to install Oracle 19c database on your laptop, and I have a website which would give you the step-to-step guidance on this, how to install it, right? And you can create a schema. For example, you can create a schema like Infadata, just an example, and I'll be providing you the sample schema where you can import your schema and you can have your tables and the sample data. I'll be providing you a SQL file, and also I'll be providing you the flat files for practice. This would be provided by me, and you need to sign up to a Salesforce account, right? And this is a website where you can sign up to a Salesforce account. If you don't have it, you need to sign up. If you have, you can log in directly. And basic queries understanding, SQL queries understanding is needed. This is not a, I mean, this is not a kind of a showstopper. You can eventually learn it if you are a fresher, or if you don't have experience, or if you have experience in a different line, that's absolutely fine. And added advantage for students coming from the Power Center background, because the functionality is derived from Power Center. Okay, the functionality is derived from Power Center. It works. It's a different UI and works in a different way, but the inbuilt functionality is derived from Power Center. And as I just told, like, this is an easy course to learn for freshers and also for students, with other tech experience who like to learn IICS. So, does it answer your question? Someone were asking me about prerequisites, right?
Ye- Yes, Arun. So Arkel, I don't have actually knowledge. So basic MS SQL, I have writing some queries. That's it.
Yeah, absolutely
So other
fine.
than that,
That
I
should be
don't
fine.
have a Power Center
That is
experience
fine.
also. I'm a fresher
That
right
is
now.
fine.
So
No
okay,
problem. That should be fine. Yeah.
okay, yeah, fine.
Okay.
Yeah, fine.
Yeah. Sure. So moving on. Any questions from anyone on the prerequisites? Okay. I'll move on. So the next slide, we're going to discuss about the components of IICS. We have Informatica Cloud. We have Informatica Cloud hosting facility. We have runtime environment and agent. You know, uh, like, these are the different components that you get to hear a lot. So Informatica Cloud is a cloud-based application. Hosting facility is where you have Informatica Cloud hosted agent, and we also have this local secure agent. Runtime environment is something which would need for you to run your jobs. It is an inbuilt integration service of IICS, and you have an agent, right? So we'll discuss about all this. What is an agent again? Agent is a program that you run within your network, right? All agents, it's something like you have an agent group, right? Agent group is something like your no agent group in ILCS is something like your grid concept in Power Center. And in Power Center we have a grid, right, where you assign multiple nodes to it, like node 1 plus node 2 plus node 3, right? Something like that. You have an agent group in ICS. You can have a secure agent 1, secure agent 2, secure agent 3. Okay, as long as they are configured and you're able to access your applications within that network, within the domain, you can have multiple secure agents. So, for example, you can have one secure agent for your Windows, other one can be for your Linux, and let's say you have one more for Windows. Probably this is for a different environment. Let's say for QA, right? This may be for your dev. Okay, And Linux, you can have, in Linux environments, you can have multiple folders within your Linux environment, right? Multiple folders, for example, slash app slash IICS, um, you know, uh, let's say group one, you can have one more agent running on app slash IICS group two, as long as, this is possible. But in Windows, we can have only one secure agent running on your Windows laptop. Why? Because you can't have multiple secure agents because it's running as a service, right? It runs as a service. So if I just bring up my services.msc, if you look at my services.msc, my Informatica Cloud Secure Agent is running as a service. I can only have one service on my Windows laptop. So this is the one that is running. And how do you ensure this is up and running all the time? There is a recovery that you have to put, just in case of any failure, restart the service. This is how you do it. And log on is automatically, this is in the running state. The moment my laptop goes on hibernate mode or it gets shut down and it gets restarted, my services also get restarted, right? In case of your personal cloud agent, but in real time, you don't have to worry about it because the server that you're going to install your Windows agent, it would be always up and running within your domain or within your network. Okay. Any questions on this from anyone? Okay. So I'll move on. The next one is about the security model, right? The security model, as I keep telling about different microservices architecture, you have a design, administration, identity, access. So how is it the security model is based on what? The security model is based on, you have a data center infrastructure security and your IACS platform security as what Informatica defines. And you know, we have a identity and a role and an asset. Like, you have identities, roles, and resources, which are called assets in IICS. They are defined in different ways where, you control the execution of your job or you control an asset. For example, an admin is a super user who can do everything. He can specify he can set up a security configuration. He can run a task. He can run a task flow process, API-based executions, can view the job results. Whereas a designer performs, he can create jobs, he can create tasks, task flows, API-based executions, and job results. Whereas a service consumer, which is a more of an operator role, is more on the API-based execution and he can monitor job results. There are different roles and different role assignments with the tagged privileges and permissions. Okay, hope it makes sense. You're able to understand this. I'm seeing a lot of silence. Hope you guys are able to understand, or you're not able to understand. If anyone has any questions, please ask me.
Yes, yes, it is
Would
clear.
you please go over this one?
Sure. So the role-based access controls, as I keep telling you about, role-based, which is called RBAC, right? Role-based access control in IICS. So what is this role-based access control is, where you define a collection of privileges that you can assign to a specific user or a group to perform an action, right? You perform a system defined. There are system defined roles and you have custom roles. And you know uh, when you when we define a role, we actually define it an asset level. So everything is called an asset. So I'll just bring up a quick, when we get started, I'll explain more about it in detail. So just give me a moment. I'll explain in detail about the roles when we bring up the UI for the demonstration. Okay, I'll cover that. So getting started, how do you get started? to get started, this is how you need. You need to create an org. You need to sign up a free trial account, and you have to download your IICS securation. So how do you do it? You actually go to let's say if you just go to Informatica Cloud Data Integration free trial, just go out for this free 30-day trial in your Cloud Data Integration. Okay, and you need to provide your details here in your first name, last name, right? Uh, Something like IICS user, and your title as a developer, and you can provide your test mail ID test@gmail.com, or if you do not want to use your email address as your username, do not check this box. If you want to use a username like dev, right, you have dev1, or your username like IICS user, okay, one, something like IICS user, and your role, it can be anything, whatever role that you want to select. Let's say if you want to select analyst. Phone number, you provide any random phone number, or just provide anything with your free trial account. Select your country, state, uh, city, and your postal code, and you provide your data center location, North America, Europe, or Asia Pacific. This depends on the region that you sign up, right? And when you select these two boxes, click on start your free trial. So I'm not going to do this because I already have a free trial account that I have enrolled. So I'll just show you. The moment you sign up, you click on there, you get a mail from admin@informaticacloud.com to actually admin@informatica cloud. So you get a mail which would give you a prompt. Welcome to Informatica family and verify me now, and you would get a username and login URL. So this is a username and the login URL that you get, right? And you need to verify with changing your password. Is that clear to all of you? Okay. So let's now jump on to that URL. So I'm logging on to my Informatica Cloud URL. So I have my username and password saved. I'm logging in here. So these are my services which are configured as part of my free trial account. I have a data integration, administrator, monitor, and operational insights. So these are part of my free trial account. And so this is where you toggle around multiple services. For example, I I want to toggle to data integration. You right click on it, open a new tab. You want to check your administrator, click on open a new tab, monitor, operational insights. You can have this multiple tabs open. Okay, so let's go to administrator service first. Okay, administrator service, which this is how this is a place, this is a service where you see the org level details. This is called organization, where I enroll to an org name, and I have an ID that is configured to my organization, and you get multiple options like licenses. You get SAML setup, right? You also have metering, settings, users, and user groups. For example, if I go to users, so I have a user that is enabled, which is my user when I just enroll to a free trial account. This is my username, and I also have a user group. Okay, I also have a user group. I do not have a group, but I can create a group. So as I keep telling, if you click on the username, right? If you click on the username, you you get some assigned user groups and roles. So being an administrator, right? I have a user role here. I have a different role name with admin, data integration, data previewer, designer, deployer, monitor, operator. You have multiple roles, and you can even create a custom role for yourself. When you go to user roles, you can create a customized role. So these are the system defined roles. Okay, these are some system defined roles. For example, if I click on admin, which is a system defined role, so I have a data integration service, and I can see the asset type here, assets and asset type with different types of assets, and my access to create, read, update, delete, run, or set permissions at a different object level. For example, as an administrator, I have super access, right? I can do everything. I can run a mapping, I can run a mapping task, I can run a maplet, I can run a task flow, I can do anything as an administrator. But when you go to a different user, right? For example, if you go to designer, right? If you go to designer group, when you click on designer, so when you click on designer again, these are limited functionalities, not as extensive as your administrator. And you click on data integration, and you see there are different services here. So data integration, you can perform these functionalities. Is this clear?
So if you set this access for designer, so and
Hmm.
the user where whatever we are creating as a role as a designer, that will applicable for everybody, right?
That's correct. Yeah. You create a
Okay.
user, you assign a user role to that user, or you can even create a user group also. If you create a group, and for example, if I click on add group, right? If I just click on add group, if I just give a name as developer group, right? Developer group, and I can just have my available user as this one, and my developer group can be part of my designer, or let's say operator, monitor. You need to have such certain basic privileges for your developer group, like data integration task executor, data integration data previewer, right? There are few basic things that are needed for your developer group. So I just save this group, and if I create a user, when I create a user, right, I can just directly map my group to it. Okay, I'll just create a user. For example, if I just click on add a user, I create my first name, last name, and I just assign my developer group to it, and I'll save this. That's it. Fine.
Okay.
So this is set up.
Instead of creating a
Yeah,
group, I can actually give this role also here, right?
yeah. You can also give a role. That is fine. Yeah, you can also assign a role also. That should be fine. This
Okay.
depends on your organization's requirement. How do you want to control your security between your development groups? You can define that way. So, uh, sorry, my local agent group. This. I just come back to this administrator again. Now you have a runtime environments. This is important for us to understand. When you go to runtime environments, if you look at this, I have certain runtime environments which are actually, there are no secure agents, and you see there is an Informatica cloud hosted agent on the top, right? And how do you download it? You download a secure agent. If you don't find all this, right? You don't find all this until unless you download them. You find only this one when you enable the free trial account. When you click on download secure agent, you select a platform that you want to download. You copy the install token and put it aside the notepad, and then when you download it, and when you download and you run as an administrator, you should have the administrator privileges. You get a secure agent group or a local secure agent which will be up and running. Okay, so in case of any specific errors that you're finding right after your secure agents are up and running, and you see that something is not running, you can even start and stop it here from your administration console, which means that your secure agent services have to be up and running before you start your work. So there is an audit log when you actually download your secure agent. What it actually does is it is going to download all your prerequisites, all the packages that are required for the connectors. You don't have to configure any ODBC things, to make sure your connections are working. You When you download a secure agent, all your uh, all your prerequisite, I mean, all your configurations or your connectors or your packages, they get downloaded automatically, right? And you would see this. How do you see this? For example, I have my secure agent running on my D drive on my secure agent, right? And if you look at my slash apps directory, there is a directory called agent core, and there is a file called agent core log. Okay. Now this is a file. This is going to actually download the necessary packages, and most importantly, this secure agent is a self-upgrading agent, right? It's a self-upgrading agent. So this secure agent is actually connecting to Informatica, and it downloads the packages that are required, right? So if you just scroll down, right, this is the log entry for my data integration service, which is inbuilt. So if you search for packages, you find it here where, sometimes this is an appended log file where it is downloading the necessary packages for the connectors, right? And most importantly, uh, this secure agent is a self-upgrading agent. So why it is a self-upgrading agent? Because the updates are being sent automatically from Informatica hosted multi-tenant repositories for all the process related, all the updates, with respect to different services. Now you see this services are up and running, all the services are up and running, and you see the last updated time. You see there is a last updated time. Okay, so this is a self-upgrading agent. We don't have to do any upgrades on our own. The secure agent is a self-upgrading, and you get a version for every upgrade, the last upgraded status. You see this is the last upgraded. In case of any major release, right, they keep sending notifications to the org ID that you signed up. That you have signed up, you get updates to it. Okay, so that's about a secure agent. Uh, we can discuss eventually more during our training duration. But let me go to data integration. Okay, so you have to get this prompt as up and running. Okay, don't worry about these things because these are the older ones which I had to, when I imported the code, I got these old ones, but the one that is active is my local secure agent. So when I go to my data integration service, right, I just refresh the page again, and you would see this. This is a dashboard. This page, the home page, yeah, let it come up. So the home page is a dashboard where you would see the runtime environments, the overview, my jobs, and your jobs that you have run recently, right? You see the entire dashboard here. When you click on new, you get different assets that you want to select. You have tasks, you have mappings, maplets, task flows, and components as part of your free trial account. Remember, this is a free trial account. It's not an enterprise account where you won't be able to see all the transformations. For example, let's create a mapping, a test mapping. Okay, I'll just name this mapping as, let's say, I go to browse. I can select my project and my folder. Let me select default for now. So for example, I'm selecting my default location, which is coming by default. And I just give a name as m underscore customers load demo, right? I'm just giving this mapping name as customers load demo. I go to my source, and I have a option to maximize this, or I can even minimize this. When I click on maximize, I go to my source. I have a connection that is configured. I already have a connection. How did I get my connection? I go to my administration service, and then I click on connections. So I already configured a connection. So how did I get my connection? Because I have my Oracle instance up and running on my laptop. I also have my files. I also have my Salesforce connection created. We'll discuss about how to create and configure the connections when we cover those topics in detail. But I have a connection already created, which is my, let's say this is my Info SRC connection, right? Info SRC connection. This is my connection. How did I get my details? When I configure my InfraSRC connection, I need to provide my details of my uh, username and password and my host name and my local service name, my Oracle instance service name and the port number. So I configure the connection. Okay. So I'm going to select my connection here, and then source type is single object, multiple objects, query and parameter. We'll go with single object for now. Click on select. So this is going to actually give me the list of tables as part of my uh, Oracle instance that is running for that specific schema, InfraSRC. Okay. So the moment I get it, I can search for the table customers and click on OK. The moment you select your customer table, you also get to, if you want to preview the data, you can even preview the data because it is talking to my Oracle instance and it is giving me the data. So click on preview data and you get the data from customers table, right? You get the data, the customer ID, company name, all the details. You get this entire preview here. Just save this mapping. So we just imported a source and you get the fields automatically from the customer that you have just imported. And let's say if I go to target, I can create a target, click on the same connection again. Now single object, click on select object. When you click on select object, you get two options. You can choose an existing target or create a new at runtime. For example, I choose an existing target, right? Now I just search for TGT underscore customers, which I already created a table which doesn't have data. So my TGT underscore customers is my target table. And the moment I select my existing target, you also get a field mapping option enabled, right? So when I selected an existing target, you get field mapping, and we'll discuss about all this. So we'll discuss about field map options in detail. And when I select automatic, right, I get these values, which is my field mapping with automatic and manual options. Click on save. So my mapping is valid the moment I have my source and target created. I just did a simple mapping for this demonstration. And the moment you create a mapping, you have to create your mapping task to run this. You can even run a standalone mapping also. That can be done, but that is not a recommended way to do it. So you generally attach to a mapping task. You run a mapping task. You don't run a mapping directly. Okay. So we create a mapping task. So just give a name and I just paste the mapping name that I created. Select my
So
local agent group
mapping task is nothing but a job, right?
session. Yeah, it's a session like a session property that you define, which would have additional options in the schedule tab. Where you can even select run on scheduling, pre-processing, post-processing, parameter file, advanced properties, and all that, which we will discuss in our training. But for this demonstration, I just created a mapping task, okay, to run that. So I'm just clicking on finish so that I have my mapping task created and also my mapping created, right? So if I just run this, I go to my
Arun, can you
monitor
explain me
page.
where this mapping task is? This session is connected to mapping.
Yeah, yeah. I just explained, right? We just created a mapping task. When I went to the mapping, I clicked on these three dots here. I clicked on new mapping task. Okay, I just copied the name of the mapping, and I gave the mapping name here, and automatically I got my mapping image also as part of my mapping task.
Oh, okay, okay.
Okay, so I just ran this. So I need to go to monitor page. This would be queued status and queued to running status, right? And from running, when you click on this instance name, you get the details about your task name that you have run along with the instance ID, started by, start time, end time, and duration, how much time it took, and your target data, which is your target customers. You can go to the database instance and you just verify that. Okay, you just go to this one and select start from. Okay, and when you run this, you have your data loaded to your target table. Fine. So this is a simple mapping task that I just ran, and as part of our integration templates, right? When you go to new, we also have something called task flows, right? This is a task flow. Uh, Only for this demonstration, I'm going to create a simple task flow. Task flow is nothing but an orchestration event, as part of your how do you want your data to be passed from one step to another step. There are sequence of steps that you need to define, right? Some task flow is similar like your workflow, but it has got a lot of wider functionality, with respect to different things that you see from the palette here. You have an assignment step, data task, file watcher, command task, subtask load, decision task. We'll discuss all this in our training. For example, I want to run a data task, right? So this is all. The task flow is like an API driven. And when you go to the start step here, I have a task flow. I just name this name. I'll just rename it as task flow underscore customers demo. I'll copy it and I'll override the API name. I'll tell you about what is API and all that. And when you go to data task, right, you select the data task that you want to run. Click on select, and I can just directly search for in the demo session itself. And I just created the demo mapping. It's going to pick up only the mapping task, not the mapping. It is going to pick up only the mapping task that I want to execute. Click on save. So this is like a start step, and you have a data task, and you have an end step. You have a lot of wider functionalities, and how do you define your task to be? How do you want your task flow to be defined? So you need to publish your workflow. Sorry, your task flow. Publish your task flow, and then you need to run this. Click on run. So this is going to run again, and you would see that there is a subtask here. When you click on view subtask, right, you see that there is an acute status, which means that your mapping task is again a subtask to your task flow, and your mapping task is invoking your mapping. Understood? So now it is running. Now it is running, and you have 13 rows loaded again, right? uh, so this is invoked my mapping task. So if I go back to my Oracle instance again, if I run this again, I get this data loaded again because it's just appending the data. So you understood? So when you go to data integration, you have this task that you define, like, we have a synchronization task, masking task, a replication, power center, data transfer task. And similarly, when you go to a mapping, when you click on create mapping, this functionality is derived from Power Center, where you have this transformation palette, where you have set of transformations on the left side, where you can drag and drop them. And this is called mapping canvas. And these are called shapes, where you maximize a shape and you assign your connection. You choose your connection and you bring in your source or your target data. Okay. You can just have your, let's say, for example, in this mapping, I want to call an expression. I can just drag and drop it. And you want to drag one more source, you drag a source here. You want to drag one more target, you drag it here, and you bring it up here, and you have this. Just save this. Okay, this is a mapping. It's a valid mapping again. As long as you have a valid connection between your source and target, your connection is, your mapping is valid. But the only thing is, there is the advantage what you have in IICS is, you don't have to do any kind of propagate attributes. For example, if I go to my source, okay, if I go to my fields, and let's say In my fields, if I change the data type of my precision, there is something called edit metadata. Okay, on runtime, I want to increase my state precision to 10, right? Just change to 10, varchar 10, and save this. Automatically, the changes get reflected to your upstream transformations. This is my upstream, my from the source to target. I only have one here, right? If I go to my target fields, I don't have to do any propagate attributes. My automatically, sorry, this is my existing target, right? So this is not getting updated. If I take out an expression, right? If I just bring in an expression here, incoming fields, my state is with the precision of 10. Okay. So whatever changes that you do, they get propagated automatically. You don't have to do any manual propagation of your attributes. Okay. Is this clear? Any questions on the demo?
Yeah, one question, please, Arun. Um,
Hmm.
I understood the mapping task, when you try to explain that, but what's exactly differentiate with the data task? I mean, why it's you have to bring it in focus about the data task?
Okay, data task is something. Okay, data task is. Are you talking about a synchronization task or a masking task, or are you asking about anything specific to the data? Like this is a
Yeah,
data
about
that
the
is processed.
yes.
See, synchronization task is a different thing. You know, where you want to sync your data between two different applications. It's one of a template. It's one of the asset type in IICS where you have a functionality that is defined, where you want to do a sync up between your different applications or different databases or files. Okay,
Yeah, I got that.
mapping is something like a power center. You perform a mapping for your data cleansing, data manipulation, data integration, right? Whatever you do, right? Whatever you do as part of your design, when you do the development, you do some expression transformation, to convert, I mean, to do some row level functionality, or you do a router, or you put a filter, you put a hierarchy parser, hierarchy builder, and all that, right? You want to join two sources. You can do a lot of things in the mapping. But there are also standalone tasks, like standalone tasks in the sense like different tasks, assets types like synchronization, masking task, which is having a different functionality. We'll discuss about all that when we start with our training. Okay. So
Okay.
let me quickly bring up my training topics that I'll be covering as part of my course. Okay, I'll just bring up this document here. Uh, so what I'll be covering as part of the cloud data integration. So let me be, this is going to be a training for, like, someone from a basic level to an advanced level, which would be useful for all of you. Someone is looking to start with IACS, someone with experience in Power Center, right? All of you can get benefited from this training. So what I'll be discussing is, the cloud overview and, runtime environments and connections. I'll be helping you out with all the installation guidance and establishing connections, synchronization task. We'll discuss about basic transformations, right? And we'll discuss about advanced transformations and also mapping tasks, mapping parameters and variables, expression macro and dynamic linking, and task flows in detail, hierarchical connectivity, REST API, login activity, invoking a task through Postman. And these are my week-wise topics, which would cover, what I'll be covering. This is a 4 weeks training program, which would be from Monday to Friday, right? And this trainings, we have a day zero, which is our demo session. The topics which will be covered, these are the topics. And eventually, if you needed, we'll have one more day to discuss all this, because there will be a new set of students who will be joining and they want to have an understanding about it. So we'll start with day zero on day one actually. So for the week one, we have an installation guidance, configuring different services and all this, and including, database to database load and all that. Day two, working with source query options, advanced pre-SQL, post-SQL, and floor and order, field routes. Day 3 with a different set of transformations. Day 4 again pre-SQL, post-SQL at a mapping task level, and maplet, lookup, and all that. Day 5 is sequence, generator transformation, transaction control. And week 2 we'll discuss about mapping parameters and variables, expression macros, synchronization tasks, replication tasks, hierarchy parser, builder. And week 3 we'll move on to task flows. So everything would be covered in detail. How to create a task flow with different decision steps or notification step. We'll discuss about it all this in detail, and also we'll discuss about REST v2 connector, web services, and different scenarios. And the week 4 would be REST API connection, Swagger files, REST API login activity. We'll discuss about intelligent structure model, partitioning, error handling, and administration topics I'll be covering. And the last day would be a reserve day. So these are the planned topics. Eventually, not exactly the topics will be covered on those specific days, depending on the students' understanding. Some topics may get overlapped for the next day. This is just for a idea's sake. I'm just putting it a week-wise split up. Okay, not exactly that. Probably every day would fit in these topics, but some days, 1 or 2 days, we might see some topics may get overlapped or might go to the next day. But I'll be covering everything in detail. Okay. Any questions from anyone?
Arun, somebody can help to install Oracle.
You can see. I told you, right? I would provide you that link. This is a link which you can refer online, or you can search for some YouTube videos. If you need more help on the installation, you can reach out to the organizer, right? And they'll help you out. They'll have someone assigned to you, and they can help you out. But please provide your
Okay.
details. Please provide your contact name, your contact number, and your email ID to all to
Sure.
the organizer. Okay.
So Arun, one quick question. If we want to use the parameter file, which location we need to place the file so that IICS can read it? I know you may cover this in later classes,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
just to try to
Sure, sure.
understand
I'll tell
the
you that.
architecture.
The location is under your data integration server. There is a location called user parameters in your secure region. You can place a parameter file. See, I have so many parameter files defined here, right? This is my parameter file. So you need to provide this
Okay.
path in your mapping task, which is under user parameters.
Okay.
Okay. So any more
Thank you.
questions from anyone?
Arun, as a while doing the practicals, if you are getting some queries or issues, so how can we reach out further?
Yeah, the organizer would be opening a Slack group. Actually, you can post your questions in the Slack group actually, because I wouldn't be available for the entire day, right? So what I do is when I get time, I log into Slack and I'll reply to the questions that are posted. Okay, you would
Okay.
be getting access to Slack group. Yeah,
Sure. Sure. Yeah. Thank you.
yeah.
Arun, how long
Okay.
Arun,
this course will be? How long this course? Two
Yeah. So
months.
as I discussed, this is going to be for 4 weeks, 1 month duration for cloud data integration. This course is going to be for 4 weeks. 1 month.
Oh, okay. And then the recordings will be provided. Recordings and the
Yeah,
lesson
recordings will
material.
be provided by the organizer to you. Yeah,
Oh,
they'll be
okay.
provided.
Okay. Thank you.
So like
Hi,
Arun,
Mhm.
I'm having a 11G on my system. So
Hmm.
can we run on that, or do I need to install a 19C
Yeah, better
Oracle
install
entire?
19C. 19C would be the latest one, right? So just install 19C. That would be good enough. You can
Okay,
refer to some YouTube videos, or you can go through this article. You can just search in Google. Install Oracle 19C database. You have detailed steps given
okay,
there. Okay. So you need to
okay,
go
okay.
to
Thank you.
Oracle website and register yourself. Yeah. Okay. Thank you all for
Arun.
joining today's demo session. Yeah, yeah,
Hi, Arun.
yes, yes.
Hello, Arun.
Arun, is this
Yeah.
course covered only CDI and CA also? CA is this course covered CA also? Cloud
No,
application
not at the
integration.
moment. Not at the moment. CA, I'm actually still working on the training course content. I need some more time. I'll be starting up a batch for CA too. but not at the moment. This is only for CDI.
Okay, in this course, do we is the concept is that we need to integration between the Snowflake to on-premises databases like Oracle or else other SQL Server or other databases. Is it covered?
Snowflake is not covered because I'm covering Salesforce. I'm covering Salesforce, Oracle, and Flatpeds as of now. Snowflake,
How it
I
will?
don't have any. Sorry.
Mhm. Unstructured data do we cover? Unstructured data like
Yeah, yeah.
link.
I'm going to discuss about JSON files. I'm going to
Mhm.
discuss about XML files, and we're going to cover that JSON and
Through
XML.
web services also REST API, SOAP
Yeah, web
API.
services. Correct, correct. Yeah, we'll discuss that.
Okay.
Web services also. As I discussed,
Okay.
we're going to discuss in week 4. The week 4
Mhm.
topics would cover web services also.
Mhm. Okay. In the application to application integration, there is no in this only Salesforce to on-premises table, on-premises database, right?
Yeah, correct, correct, correct.
Okay. Okay.
I have an auto
How do
instance
we?
on my laptop. Hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Unix also covered in this course
No, no,
because of
we are working on Linux here. Sorry, working on Windows here,
like
not on Linux actually, not on Unix.
uh, because of we are placing that parameter files in that Unix location. We need to call that through IICS. We need to call the Unix. Is it possible
Yeah, it is
to?
same. It is the same thing actually. Whatever you do it in Windows, it is going to be
Mhm.
more or less the same thing. All you need to know is understand where do you need to place a parameter file, how do you call a parameter file, how the parameter files are called in IICS.
Mhm.
Functionality is the same. The only thing difference is instead of Windows, you would be doing it on Linux instance. You do a WinSCP, you copy to that server, and you
Yeah. Yeah.
place that file in that location. That's it.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
How much strong the SQL for this course need?
You need to be just good enough with your basic SQL queries. That's enough. You don't have to be, kind of a pro in SQL. You just need to have a basic understanding on SQL. That should be enough.
Mhm. Okay.
Arun,
Okay.
one more thing. Will you be providing the certification dumps if you want to do IICS or IICS?
No, no, I do not. I do not have any certification grants, so you have to prepare it on yourself. But I'll be providing you the interview questions. Actually, some set of interview
Uh,
questions I'll be providing.
Arun, I thought I heard that name change the Informatica Cloud Integration Service, the R38. Is it right?
Yeah, I think the see every release they're changing the name actually. I think not every release, but sometimes they keep coming with rolling upgrades. So I have to check that. I'm not aware of it. I need to find it out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks, Arun.
Fine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, Arun, are
Yeah.
you providing any example on the web services integration as well?
Yeah. Yeah. Web services. Yeah, we're going to discuss that. Yeah. Sure.
Okay.
How many jobs created for this web service? REST API, SOAP API, JSON files. It will be more in because of cloud data integration is normally on-premises to on-premises database. That is a very usually we are using. But
Hmm.
cloud in web services and JSON file, XML file to on-premises or JSON file to on-premises, or else web REST API, SOAP API. This is the most useful for us. It will be
Yeah.
covering more
See, what
jobs.
what I do is actually connecting to web services, and we invoke a job actually using a web services transformation, and we have a target configured at a flat file. Okay, web
Okay.
services to flat file, and something REST API. We create a Swagger file, and we call a swag. We call a REST v2 connector. From REST v2 connector, I do a get or post request, and I work
Mm.
on that web services. I'll discuss about that when we go there. Okay,
Okay.
you can
One more doubt,
check in the content.
Arif.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
For suppose my files is are in that S3 bucket, Amazon S3 bucket. Do we the connection between the S3 to IACS? I want to get
No, no.
that files.
AWS is not covered in the training because of the reason, right? AWS is it's like a personal account. Again, not everyone may be having it, but that's an added thing again where we are not covering AWS here.
Yes,
AWS you can do it on your own.
usually the files are in real time. The files are located in the S3 bucket. we are getting that getting the files from the source as the S3 bucket. Is it at least showing the connections? This how this way we
Yeah.
need to.
Yes, that's correct. I can show you the connections. We have a file listener concept, right?
Yeah,
You
yeah,
can
yeah.
see my screen, huh? You can see my screen? No. I think you can see my screen, right? So in a file listener concept, when you go to components, you have a file listener. When you click on file listener, you get options, right? Where you want to connect to
Okay.
different environments. For example, I select my local agent group, and I have a
Mhm,
source type here. Okay, you have a source type with the connector or the server. For example, I select my server here, right? And you get options like AS server or HTTPS. Now I
mhm,
can't do this again. Let's say if I select my connector again, go to new components, file listener. Okay, then I select my local agent group, and then I select my connector. Okay, you just need to have a connector for it. And connection type can be anything. It can be your advanced FTP, local folder, or Amazon S3. Okay,
mhm,
you can
mhm.
select an Amazon S3 connector and you choose your connection. But I don't have an S3 connection on my free trial account.
Oh,
If I enable a S3 connection, then I can connect to S3 bucket. I can bring in the files with the type.
okay. Okay.
We'll discuss all that in detail. Yeah.
Mhm.
But Amazon is, I mean, AWS is not covered. As I told you, right? The connections what I'll be working on is flat files, Oracle, and Salesforce.
Okay. Now here the integration, cloud data integration, we are doing that Salesforce to on-premises databases like
That's
Oracle
correct.
SQL Server, on flat file to
Uh,
on-premises databases, and on-premises database to on-premises database, Oracle to Oracle, Oracle to SQL Server, like. And one more thing, web services, REST API, SOAP API to Oracle, like. Is it
yeah,
working?
yeah, that's correct. Everything is like
In
Oracle
here DB
flat
only.
file and Salesforce here. Yeah.
Yeah, here databases only cover the Oracle or else SQL Server also.
No, no, only Oracle, not SQL Server. Only Oracle.
So need to create the connection strings and by using the SQL Server. That
Yeah,
will
that's
be a.
correct, correct. Yeah, that I'll tell you how to create a connection to SQL Server. I'll tell you if you need any help. I'll tell you that it's a similar thing. What similar you have for Oracle. You need to provide certain attributes while creating a connection. That's it.
Okay. A retry process also in Salesforce, for suppose records are rejected while updating the Salesforce. Retry process also will you cover? For suppose success
Read.
files and the error files will be created while ran the job on the after workflow ran. Some records are rejected. Again, to retry logic will be covered in
No,
this
I
flow.
don't think so. No, that won't be covered because see, Salesforce, we are getting only like something like account or opportunity, and bringing into my Oracle database or to a flat file.
Mm-hmm.
I'll not be
Mm-hmm.
covering extensively Salesforce only for some data integration for tasks like
Even
synchronization tasks,
usually we are doing
replication.
that. Yeah, usually we are using that Salesforce as a source or its target also. While doing the my data is a source is the Oracle and target is the Salesforce. While doing
Yeah,
that,
we
usually.
can do that. See, we can do that, but I'm not much into Salesforce. So what I can do is I would be providing the basic functionality on inserting data and updating data, and also doing
Mm-hmm.
something called upsert. Upsert, where you have an insert or update operation, right? We'll
Yeah,
be covering some scenarios for inserting data into our
yeah,
Salesforce and Oracle.
yeah. While inserting or updating bulk API using bulk API error files and success files, how these scenarios also covered or not? I will ask you.
No, I won't be covering that scenarios. No, that is not
Okay.
possible. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. So thank you. Thanks for attending today's
Um,
demo session.
okay,
Yeah.
Arun, what is the fee structure?
You can talk to organizer. Please send out a mail to them or leave your contact number. They'll reach out to you.
Okay,
Okay. Any
sure.
further
Thank
details,
you.
please talk to them. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, sure. Thanks,
Thanks for
Arun.
joining today's session. Yeah. Bye.